Okay, great. Yeah, welcome everybody. As I said in the chat, we're really looking forward to connecting with you. Thank you to everybody who submitted some responses in our survey. We kind of just, compiled everything into three main categories and then just listed just some of the topics that people shared in their surveys. So, unlike the last agency network or quarterly agency meeting, which I think was a little bit rigid and we were very strapped on time. We thought we'd, have a smaller group to accommodate your schedules, but also to allow more discussion, and then just keep things a little bit more loose so that we could really have that dialogue and share best practices, concerns, or any issues, and see, how we could support each other from the agency side, agency team side, internally, and to you externally. So the three main categories that we're going to be talking about after some welcome and introductions is ordering online, distributions, data, and then we'll just wrap things up with some final thoughts or questions. And then over here, these are just kind of some suggested topics that people put in their surveys. So feel free to, like we said, this will be a bit more loose. So if we feel drawn to talk about one thing for longer, or if there's anything that we want to add within these categories, then we can talk about that then. And then we should have some time after to talk about anything else. So yeah, I thought we could maybe start off with some announcements and some overviews of changes. Some of you might have seen already that the email that we sent, I believe is out on Monday afternoon, that unfortunately I will be moving on from Second Harvest and be working at Alameda County Food Bank. County Community Food Bank in Oakland as a community organizer there. So yeah, I just wanted to say it's been, even though it's been a short tenure here, I really enjoyed connecting with you all and working with you all. So and I'm excited to leave you in great hands. RJ, who's been in the role for longer than I have as agency network manager, will be taking over again, and then we'll still have Paula here as our coordinator. So I'll pass it off to RJ. I know we had some other announcements. RJ, do you want to share some announcements?
For sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I just wanted to mention that the Partner Agency Conference coming up in October, that might be turned into a virtual event, just because a lot of our upcoming events are being slowly turned virtual. It seems like the county isn't opening up as quickly as we'd hoped, and then with the cases rising, we want to be as considerate as possible to our community and to our agency network. So yeah, we'll be working to just actively decide whether that'll happen within the next few days, and then we'll reach out to everyone about changing status of that.
And one thing that we also announced on Monday is that we will be closed for Labor Day on September 6th. So if you want to receive food on Tuesday, just order before your desired delivery or pickup time on Thursday. So just keep a heads up for that. So are there any other announcements, RJ or Paula, that we wanted to?
No, I think we're doing good now.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so maybe it makes sense for us to just go straight into some dialogue. So we wanted to open this up here. A few things that folks talked about or suggested that we talk about is an overview of ordering and supply chain issues, some kind of shortages and other sourcing issues. We'll talk about Agency Express, which we might have mentioned to a few of you on one-to-one, but we'll talk about that briefly, as well as substitutions. The reopening of in-person shopping, ShopSmart, pantry needs, and desired items. We already talked about the closures there and other issues around online ordering. So maybe I could start talking about the cyclical shortages and other sourcing issues. And RJ, if you want to add anything there that I might have missed, basically. Certain things have been, that we've seen more consistently in the past from what I'm aware of, like shelf-stable milk, chicken franks, and ground turkey. Some of those things have been coming and going. Peanut butter is something that somebody mentioned, and oil. Some of these things, they come as a donation from a big supplier, but those things like shelf-stable milk and the franks and the ground turkey, things that you've been seeing more consistently, we're working with our supply chain manager to to kind of keep that pipeline full, so we don't see the kind of cyclical shortages. So our supply chain manager, they're fairly new to the role, so they're kind of getting to the rhythm of ordering, making sure that they have the right quantities and order at the right time, and factoring the lead times, because sometimes from when we order to when they get into our warehouse, it's months on end. So just really just trying to get things into the rhythm, and we're working closely with them to try and resolve those issues. Around those shortages and sourcing issues, RJ, is there anything that we want to add?
I guess I would just want to add that if you guys are looking out for something, feel free to continue to let us know. Just in the WMS notes, we always encourage you to just send us a message, drop us a line, because we do have tracking Excels that we communicate with our sourcer to make sure that we have certain items in mind, especially ones that you guys have, let us know that are very vital, shelf-stable milk, whatnot. When we were out of peanut butter for a while, that was heavy on the list. So it's definitely the fluctuations within the market, and as things open up, close up, we're just riding those waves as well.
All right, and maybe we'll just talk about Agency Express, ShopSmart, and in-person shopping, and then we'll open up the dialogue. RJ, do you want to talk a little bit about Agency Express?
For sure. So we're going to start transitioning in the next few months away from WMS, our warehouse management system for online ordering, just because we created that in-house with the previous IT company, and there's no way to upgrade it or fix it. So a lot of the issues we've been having with it are just kind of permanent. And so we've been told the only way to really advance is to move on. We're going to have to move on to a new ordering system. It's called Agency Express, and many of our food banks across the country use this already. So it's already got a great history, and it's going to be a lot more user-friendly for everyone, and it should communicate with our inventory system directly. So there shouldn't be as much inventory lag with product seeming to be there when it's not actually there because it's already been allocated. So a lot of these problems we're hoping will be fixed, and it'll be also a way for us to communicate with agencies when you log in. So we're going to have a slow rollout process with this. It'll be over the course of maybe the next 6 months total for all agencies. So just for you guys to keep it in mind, this is a huge change. And we're hoping that it'll be a huge positive change for everyone, even if it does have a few hiccups along the way, just a learning process, because we also have to be trained, and then we'll pass on that training to everyone else as well. So it's going to be an adventure for everyone, but we're really hopeful that it'll be positive, and then from here on out, it'll only be positive changes because they're consistently working on this system, so it'll just be improved upon from here on out. So that'll be hopefully really positive.
Are there any questions about Agency Express? Okay. So ShopSmart, we've been getting some questions about, for how long will food be free? When is ShopSmart coming back into play? As far as we know, at least till the end of the calendar year, possibly longer. We're, part of the reason why we're, collecting this data for the new monthly reporting is to hopefully secure more funding so things could continue to be free, past the calendar year. But we'll definitely let you know far in advance if there will start to be a cost attached to the food that we're providing. So RJ, does it make sense? Do you think to provide a little background for newer agency reps around ShopSmart, or
For sure, yeah. ShopSmart, if you're not familiar with the ShopSmart program, it was a program that we had in-house. We would purchase Rayleigh's product at a discount, and then we would that price was just that heavily discounted bulk price was passed on to the agencies, so that they could just purchase it at this discount that the food bank would purchase it at. So it was just a purchasing program that we had that completely stopped once COVID started, because everything we purchased was with grants once COVID began. So yeah, everything has been completely free at the food bank since COVID began, and executive team has not let us know with the new fiscal year that there will be any changes. So as far as we know, until the next fiscal year, we should be on track. But we've asked them to give us a huge lead time, obviously, if they see anything on the horizon that could possibly change that. But even post-COVID, we're not really sure if we'll be reinstating that program. We'll just have to play it by ear and see what we can continue to provide the agencies free of charge.
Yeah, thanks, RJ. And then, and if anybody has any questions at any point, feel free to throw them in the chat or just unmute. Like we said, this is kind of a more loose discussion, so feel free to chime in with any questions or comments as we move. Like you said, we're just kind of covering these few things, and then we'll open up the dialogue. But reopening in-person shopping, this is something that you know, we've been talking with operations about. Where the agency distribution center is, where people used to come in and do their shopping in person. We're thinking about, apparently we have another cooler coming in, which would, you know, take up that space, but, you know, we don't want to kind of close the conversation completely, because we know that there's creative ways that I'm sure that we could figure things out. So maybe it makes sense for us to open the dialogue here in terms of, you know, I know we did a little bit of surveys last time, but it does help to get some kind of personal stories for us to, you know, advocate to our operations around, you know, the need and importance of it, or just convenience of it for our agency. So if anybody wants to share just anything about in-person shopping, you know, why they're needing it, or why it'd be helpful for you as agency representatives, you could share now.
So this year, yeah, this is Darren from the Watsonville Science Workshop, and I love in-person shopping because we provide after-school snacks, in essence, for our youth participants. And like in the past, we were able to get what we knew the kids would eat. But with the newer method, there's been a few times where I will have, say, ordered, for instance, 10 pounds of cucumbers. So we could do some cucumbers and tahini. And the forklift driver comes out smiling and says, "Hey, we didn't have any cucumbers, but we substituted Brussels sprouts." And then it's like, I gotta tell him like, "Hey, thanks, but sorry, can you take them back?" And there's like lots of back and forth. And the other thing that we've noticed is it's really hard for us to make sure that the produce is like fresh or ripe or ready with the current approach. Which, I mean, I get, but, you know, it's just one of those things that like totally took for granted, you know, years ago. And I could just be like, "Oh yeah, these pears are totally edible," instead of like, "Oh, these pears are like rocks right now," or something. So I miss it, but I don't know. I also miss seeing Ted, but, you know, now we're just getting distracted, right?
I don't know, that's an important part, is just, you know, kind of having that community too. Whether it's volunteers or just interacting with staff on a face-to-face basis, that's also part of it. Any other thoughts around in-person shopping? Anybody want to share how that helps them in your distributions or pantries?
I don't know if you can hear me, but some of the boxes that you send us, the food drive boxes, I just put in a couple of big boxes outside and let them go through it, take whatever they want.
Yeah.
They seem to love it. They seem to empty every box I put out there.
Oh, that's during your distributions, right?
Yes.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Any other thoughts about agency in-person shopping?
Yeah, I'm Jane from St. Philip's Food Pantry. And it made it much easier for us to obtain the correct amount, or at least as close as we can, because attendance fluctuates, but you know, there's certain things we know that people won't pick, so we don't pick them up, or some that we know that people will really like, and we, especially when you had the salvage, we could go through that and get things that we knew would be popular. And we have one member of our team particularly who loves to go down and do the shopping. And he's eager for it to start again, but we understand the reservations at this time, of course. But I hope that the possibility will remain open. It would be a lot easier for us to control the quantities that we receive. Yeah, and even though I will say that Second Harvest has been doing a much better job of not overwhelming us with too much of one thing. So anyway, thanks for that.
Thanks, Jane. Appreciate that. There's, yeah, these are definitely things that we've been hearing and things that we could kind of take to our operations to see if we can kind of find some creative solutions. Like Jane was saying, you know, things are, you know, with COVID-19 and the Delta variant, it puts another layer of, you know, not just logistical, but a safety issue. So definitely things that we're continuing to consider, and we'll keep you updated as things progress. So if there's no other thoughts around in-person shopping, maybe we could go off to substitutions. I know that came up. How have things been going around substitutions? Things that are an issue or things that have been going well that anybody wants to share?
It's me again, Jane. The thing we found, and sometimes we can only guess on the substitutions, because sometimes you'll send us something else that hadn't been on the shopping list and we're glad to receive it. What is difficult is when it seems that an item that we have ordered is doubled up. For instance, if we order lettuce and leafy greens and there aren't any different leafy greens, that the lettuce order becomes huge. So I don't know if that's actually the case, but that's how it appears. Because I don't think the invoice lists which ones are actually substitutions.
No, yeah, that's a great point, Jane. We asked the warehouse already to not do that. They had a history of just piling on certain items, and that wasn't working for anyone for their distribution styles. It was just like, so yeah, if there's ever that, we'd love to hear that just so we can make sure that doesn't happen to agencies. For sure. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, and then, you know, just to kind of echo RJ, yeah, always feel free to give us a call or send an email if any kind of issues happen with substitutions, or put in your WMS notes, because we definitely are able to keep a closer eye on it from there. Any other thoughts around substitutions?
No. I do have lots of questions.
Yeah.
We had a little incident where we had a gentleman who was coming and taking just boxes and boxes of stuff, and somebody followed him out to his car and realized the entire back of the car and the seat of the car were all full of food. Do we have a lot of people that go from food bank to food bank just to supply? They thought he was supplying a restaurant.
Yeah. Any thoughts around this? Is anybody else seeing this?
And can you remind us of your agency again? Sorry about that.
I'm
Just for our
sorry,
notes.
I'm Johanna, and I'm at Santa Cruz Bible.
Oh yeah, hey Johanna.
Hi. And then I don't know where our food handout stands. I don't know if we're on the smaller end or the larger end. And, you know, if, you know, I mean, I could always take a picture of this guy and send it around if you think it would be helpful.
Yeah, it's just kind of a site-by-site basis. We do try to have the site managers keep an eye out for that type of thing. It has happened in the past. One time it was a person who was taking it to a housing facility that we already have the program site at. So there's confusion around like who they were bringing the product to and why they're not communicating with the sites or whatnot. So we've had multiple sites or agencies reach out about that, whether it's like, could you help this person distribute? And sometimes we can, whether they're a nonprofit or not, or what exactly who they're distributing to or why. But yeah, if it's a restaurant scenario, that would be negative. So yeah, I mean, if you want to document who this person is, maybe ask them who they are or what they might be doing, and just share it with the network, that would be great. And then we could keep an eye out if there's anyone like hoarding product or taking product for not for people in need, then yeah, that would definitely be good to know.
I did have a problem of hoarding,
Hmm.
but we caught it fairly early. We
Oh,
had a
nice.
gentleman that was coming and getting a lady that said she was desperate, but what she was really doing was hoarding it all in her apartment. And so
Hmm.
so now we double check. But the other gentleman was a brand new issue and we didn't.
Definitely. No, it's definitely good to bring up for sure. Mhm.
All right. Okay, great. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye in terms of doubling up on substitutions. But we did put a substitution list together for our warehouse, and that was one of the main points there. It's just, if it's already on order, let's not give them, substitute the same item that they've already ordered for another item that we don't have. So if that ever happens, please let us know. We also, had some issues with like, substituting canned for dry and, things like that, or shelf stable for, perishable. So we try to avoid those things because usually they're not interchangeable for what agencies are looking for. But if things are open for you, always obviously, we could see you, let us know, give us feedback, the more the better. So yeah, we'd love to hear it. Okay, maybe we can move on. We are also, as you said, in communication with our supply chain manager pretty closely. We wanted to talk about some pantry needs and desired items. We do have a limited space for non-food items because we do have to keep that separate in our warehouse, but I know that there is more desire for that, like diapers and things like that. So whether food or non-food, if there's any kind of needs that you're looking for that we haven't been providing, please let us know. And we could, communicate that to our supply chain manager. So any thoughts out there?
Here's a need, but it's maybe not what you listed. I feel like a few months or maybe even years, I don't know how long ago it was because time's moving in funny ways. There was talk about you guys asked if we had refrigerator or freezer space needs. And then maybe I missed the follow-up email, but I've still got some fridge needs. I don't know if there was like an action on that survey or if it's just like a general information, but we could totally use another fridge or even just like a little chest freezer.
That's awesome. No, that's definitely good to know. We initially asked because that question is being asked by us, by the executive team when they were doing calculating the fiscal year for this next period. So they told us that they have allocated an amount for infrastructure grants for agencies, and we're going to have to figure out how to roll that out. And so all the agency grants that would have been given out previous years, they've also rolled that up into the infrastructure grant. So they were trying to figure out a way to get still support the agency community with that, because we're not doing grants for Shop Smart items. So that was their decision, and we're still we're still working with them to figure out timing and amounts and how we're going to roll it out. But yeah, we're excited. We are going to have an infrastructure grant that's going to be rolled out definitely before the end of the year. We're hoping in the next couple months. We just have to get advice on how to do that because it's going to be a big project, and we want to make sure that all the agencies have the opportunity to bolster themselves. So yeah. But yeah, definitely, Darren. If you have that need, we'll probably be reaching out again for more specifics, just through the whole agency network. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that.
Great, thanks.
Mhm.
Hi, my name's Giselle and I'm with Hope Feeds, Hope Church in Soquel. One of the things that we spend money on regularly is smaller egg cartons, bags, and produce bags as well. So that would be something that would be really cool if that could be supplied through you as well, or if that's an option. But that's one of the things that we are regularly having to purchase, even though we're happy to take people's leftovers or reused items. We do our best
Hey,
with
Giselle, I just wanted to share a resource really quick about reusable grocery bags if you're interested.
Yes.
So we get ours through Imprint. It's a printing service. And
Yeah.
if you just reach out to them, they'll send you boxes and boxes of like misprinted reusable bags.
That's awesome.
Helpful. Yeah.
Imprinted.
Yeah, imprint for,
Imprint
I'll
for.
put the link in the chat.
Thank you, Meg.
Nice, that's awesome. Thanks, Meg. And does anyone else have any advice on egg cartons by chance? I know different agencies have different ways they do that, whether that's acquiring it from the congregation of the church they might be participating with or community in the area. I'm not sure.
Checked with all the restaurants. We had a supply for a while going through one of the bagel shops, but then they went flat. So, but I only checked with the ones that are, up where I live. I live up in the valley, but I didn't get ones in Santa Cruz, so people can try that.
Good idea.
Right. Any other thoughts around solutions in the meantime? So around egg cartons or other pantry needs, non-food or desired food items?
We get, St. Philip's get obviously a bunch of egg cartons from our congregation and bags as well, but you might, somebody can put something on next door or something like that, because we've had perfect strangers come and say, will you take bags and egg cartons and so on. And so we haven't had a shortage for a while.
That's awesome. And Nextdoor, is that just a third-party app, or is that through Facebook, or I can't recall?
It's a neighborhood app.
Oh, okay, right.
And so it targets the people that are around you in the same area.
Awesome.
Right. Okay, so yeah, if there's any other thoughts around, and obviously if something comes up, you can always email us or call us if you have any, desired items that you're looking for, put in your WMS notes. But any other thoughts in terms that we want to talk about in terms of online ordering, other issues, things that folks have been doing, that any best practices that they want to share?
I would like to ask about, because you got milk on the list there, and I know there's been problem getting the shelf stable, but some months back you sent out as kind of a little survey to say, we expect to get some fresh milk, would you be able to store, how much would you want, and that kind of thing. And I responded. And then I saw milk on the list one time, and we ordered it and never got any. So what happened with that?
That's a good question. Yeah, Grace, before she left, she found a grant for fresh milk somewhere, but I guess it was only for a limited time, and it never, for some reason, the logistics never really worked out. We reached out, yeah, we got all the responses from the agency network, but it seemed like the sourcing team had difficulty bringing it in or knowing how much. So it just created a hiccup in the back in that process, and then it just never seemed to actualize. And then by now, I think the grant has already lapsed, so I don't think that we can even restart it. But we do have it on. We'll make another note to reach out to the food sourcer again, our new food sourcer, to see if she can maybe discover what that was or how that was, how that was acquired, and maybe we can reinstate it if that's a possibility, because we would love to also have that.
Thank you.
Good memory, Jane. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so maybe we can move on to distributions. Unless folks have other things to talk about in terms of ordering, but do you want to talk about, looks like some folks from our survey talked about participant fluctuations. It might be good just to kind of discuss what folks are seeing in terms of their numbers, folks coming to the distributions, how to provide feedback when produce isn't good, and we'll go over our shelf stable guide. Issues with deliveries, farmers market style distributions, how and when to switch, the size of our produce bags being too large, COVID-19 members, increasing reach. So that's kind of reaching underserved populations within our communities, or just getting the word out about our distributions in general. So yeah, in terms of participant fluctuations, what are we seeing in terms of our numbers kind of moving up and down? Is anybody seeing more consistency, or is it kind of everywhere? What are you seeing on your ends?
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Thelma with the Salvation Army here in Watsonville. And so our numbers actually have just been all over the place. I noticed the fluctuation of that just started when a lot more locations started opening up for the food distributions. People just, had more options, and that's okay. It's a great opportunity to be able to just provide that food for them. But definitely we've lost a lot of clients through that, but also we have gained new clients that are now either just recently arriving from Mexico or, just don't have any other information of places where to go. And so they're pretty local. But because of our shelter, we've been able to get that contact with those. But a lot of them don't have a kitchen necessarily to cook, but they do have a room, right, where they can sleep, and they do need food and certain supplies like that. So just that has kind of changed a lot. So I don't know if there's some stuff that you guys can provide that not necessarily, need a kitchen to cook as well. And that kind of also has to do with the just the clients that we've been serving, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, definitely. And we've Nick's been trying really, or he's been keeping his eye on grab and go products. So he usually on Thursdays he'll email out a list, and we'll try to keep that up. Our conversations with our food or inventory manager, so we know what is pop top or able to be open very easily, and make sure to keep an eye out for that list. And we're also trying to order more stuff in. We got a grant through Costco, so we're going to be ordering some snack products through there. Hopefully that'll help. Yeah, hopefully that'll help bolster what we consider the grab and go for the unhoused population.
Okay.
Yeah, and he posted it right here. Yeah, so that's all that we currently have. But yeah, we've been trying to bring in more and more, some dried fruits and whatnot, and things that are a little more nutritious than just maybe chips and snacks,
Who's the contact again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, we've been emailing this out. So if you see this, feel free to either order it online. It has all the item numbers, so you can just order it off WMS.
Okay.
But we just want to make sure you know that these items are able to be opened easily. So when you are ordering, you have that knowledge.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, we want to focus more on that to bring more of that product in. And that can be a little difficult for us because when we order, it doesn't say if it's pop top or not sometimes. So we have to kind of trial and error, bring things in and see what can work and what can actually bolster.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, so yeah, just seeing some comments here in the chat. Bacon is a huge hit. We'll have to double check to see if the bacon's coming back. Yesterday we added chicken drumsticks to the menu. So these come in a dozen 3 1/3 pound packages per case. So those are frozen and unseasoned. So definitely very versatile protein for families. Let's see, ours has been pretty consistent. Just looking at consistent past couple months, volume 2 times of our pre-COVID volume. Numbers are down over at Bay Avenue. School free meals and monthly child tax credit, that makes sense. St. Phil's participation has been up and down. Is that kind of specific, or will we have access? Yeah, we could check in about that, Sarah, in terms of the grab and go menu. I'm assuming Lady Star has been up and down. Feeds. Yeah, thanks for sharing these. So feel free to check out the chat more. Some countries do not operate the 5th week. Oh yeah, so for these here, that's one thing to keep in mind for pantries cooperate weekly. A lot of our program sites these are internal distributions, don't operate on the 5th week of the month. So if you're distributing weekly, the 5th week, you could expect, it's possible to expect an increase in numbers there because folks won't be getting food from our program sites. Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Clay. Any other thoughts around participant fluctuations, things that you're noticing, kind of ways to kind of predict these fluctuations and make adjustments accordingly? All right, so we can move on here. Talk a little about the food hoarding already. Oh yeah, so how to provide feedback when produce isn't good. So RJ, do you want to talk about how to provide feedback? And I can pull up our shelf-stable guide to show folks that.
Yeah, definitely. Wait a minute, sorry, can you rehash that?
Oh yeah, how to provide feedback when produce isn't
Oh
good,
yeah,
like,
of course.
items,
Yeah, always feel free to reach out to us if there's any issues or anything that comes up. Just directly email the agencies. We've had a few issues with some of our donations, maybe inside of pallets or things that are hidden that weren't great quality. So we want to make sure that if there's ever any issues, that you feel free to reach out to us, because we'll reach out to our food safety coordinator. Then he'll do an inspection of our warehouse. So he'll work with our warehouse manager and make sure that everything is up to quality standard that we'd like it to be. But we have been trying to impose as many check systems along the process, whether it's receiving or drivers, order pullers or whatnot, but every once in a while things still make it through the system. So we just ask that, yeah, especially when it's like in bulk, there's always a possibility if it's like full pallets or like large quantities, then yeah, some things can sneak through. So we appreciate your patience with that, but we've been trying to make sure to make our process even more rigorous so that we can catch those things.
Yeah, thanks, RJ. And then one thing that I do want to highlight here, this is from our food safety manager. He compiled this document as a shelf-stable guidelines. So, the idea, that the sell-by date is, when something is suggested to be consumed by at its peak quality, but it is safe to eat for a lot of things are safe to eat if stored properly for some time after their sell-by date. And we do distribute those foods. So this is just a really great resource in terms of how long after a sell-by date that something is safe to consume. So so if you look here, it has the type of food, baby food, canned foods, and these different kind of condiments and packaging. And then in the column here, it says shelf life after code date. So that's basically how long it's safe to consume after its sell-by date. So yeah, and it breaks down from all these different kinds of syrup. It's pretty detailed and extensive. We have dry goods here, and it goes all the way down to shelf-stable beverages, dairy and cooler items, frozen foods. So it kind of covers everything that we would distribute, or might distribute. So, and then it goes towards the bottom here of just like some acceptable versus not acceptable items. These are kind of some little cringy pictures, but you get the idea here. Obviously, people have their own preferences in terms of what they want to eat. So, I eat things past their sell-by date all the time. Some people say it's a hard line. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So it's obviously if folks don't want to take it, we can't force it on them. But these are just kind of a good guideline to know what's safe and what's not, and what is not to distribute. So we'll be sending this out after the next session with just a little within our recap of these two meetings. So you'll be having this resource soon. Any questions about that, or how to kind of communicate when produce isn't good, or any other issues that you've been having with product that we've been sending out? Okay. Yeah, so maybe we can move on then to deliveries. We've been in closer communication with our logistics management. If you do have to shift some deliveries ahead, we try to send an email out, the day before. So just keep an eye out on your email ahead of your distributions if there's any adjustments. But things do come up last minute with traffic, or if you have a shortage of drivers, whatever it is. So just wanted to get a sense from your end of how things are going, issues that you've been having, or things that might be going well. So just wanted to open up the dialogue around deliveries.
I'll share. Hi, my name is Adriana Mata, and I'm from PBPSA. I do want to say that we are also really grateful for the addition of diapers when you guys have them available, because we do have a lot of families that are seeking that additional support. And I think it's we've used it very wisely. So thank you for that. Our distribution is actually, we have a distribution site, but we also have our pantry. Our distribution site did increase by like 20 during the last couple of months. So it's pretty small. We serve 70 families a month in our distribution, but it's been consistent during the last 2 months. We did increase it a little bit just because we wanted to start off small, but and it's we are in a very centralized location, so people do show up, and we finish everything that's provided from the food bank. In regards to the pantry, we did have a little issue, but I never addressed it. That there was like a box of like rice that when we opened the box, it kind of seemed like it had little critters on them. And I never actually emailed you back, emailed you, because I lost track of time. And then I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. But we've never had any other issues besides that. But yeah, thank you for the resource and the support. And you always email us back right on time. And that's appreciated too. Thank you.
Thanks, Adriana. Could you appreciate that? Could you remind me what agency you're from?
PBPSA, Pajaro Valley Prevention.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. If there's something like that with kind of insects or things like that, if you could take a photo of it and then email it to us, because that's really great for our records when we log it into our issues log, and then for our safety manager as well, especially with if it's any kind of infestation like that, we want to take care of that right away. But yeah, thank you. We appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts around product or deliveries? All right. We move on, and then RJ.
Sure. And I'd also just encourage you guys, if there's ever any frustrations, like, oh, they always show up a little too early, a little too late, just those little things, feel free to just send us a message, an email, whether in your WMS notes or just an email or call, just so that way it doesn't seem like, because we can tell our, what am I thinking? Logistics manager about your preferences. It's like, oh, they would prefer that you don't make it later than this, or it's earlier than this. And he's relatively new to the food bank, but he's very receptive to our feedback, and he's been really flexible with trying to accommodate us. So we really appreciate that. But also we're continually reminding him, and also just creating that that list of preferences so that he understands what flexibility he has when he's orchestrating his logistics. So just so you guys know that there's always the possibility of tweaking or, making it more flexible for what you need.
And we've been trying to keep a closer eye out on materials pickups as well, like pallets and boxes. I know that we missed some of those. So if we have a material pickup schedule with you weekly, and it's in the afternoon, and the day's getting to a close, and you need it out before the weekend or whatever it is, just let us know, and we'll try to send a driver as soon as we can. But we'll continue to keep an eye on that as well. All right, so maybe we can move on to farmers market. I know that a few folks here have made the switch and are doing some hybrid things. And then maybe we could incorporate some COVID-19 safety measures within that as well. Just to give you an overview of what our program sites are doing, from what I've heard from them, is that they're setting up cases or our milk crates with produce items in them. So they'll usually kind of math that they do is if you're ordering 25, if folks are taking home about 20 to 25 pounds per participant, then you just kind of multiply your numbers, say by 20 number of participants you're expecting by 25. And if you want to do a third veggies, a third fruit, and a third dry items, whatever it is, then you kind of break it down that way to order in bulk. Or you could, do by item if there's, however number of cases that you have or units per case, and then doing the math backwards that way. Let us know if you have any, if you're switching from, a standing order of, prepackaged boxes or bags, just let us know and we can kind of help you with that, or connect you with somebody who can. But basically the COVID-19 measures around farmers market style distributions at our program sites from right here is, they'll put, 3 apples per participant or whatever it is on each item of produce, and they'll have a volunteer, managing 1 or 2 items. So if a participant walks through, they just, point to which item that they want, and then they'll put it in a bag for them. So that way they're not, kind of grabbing the items themselves. But obviously it depends on your volunteer capacity and things like that, and whatever works for your distribution and your participants. But yeah, I just wanted to open up the dialogue in terms of like how folks are. I know we have a variety of pantries here and agencies. Some folks do have those standing orders of produce bags and prepackaged boxes from us. Some folks order in bulk and then repackage it for their participants. And then we do have folks here, I'm sure, who are doing kind of the more farmers market distribution. So anybody make the switch recently? I know, let's see, any from prepackaged things to farmers market style distributions, or have been doing farmers market style distributions through COVID, who want to share about that?
At St. Philip's, we opened up to, during COVID, we were taking out shopping lists and asking people, okay, which do you want? And we'd come in and pack them. And when things started opening up, we decided to let people in. We escorted one at a time, or one. And then, because we have 2 distribution areas, we have a couple of rooms in the back with the shelf stable stuff. And we have the fresh produce out in our entry area in the church. And so we have one of our volunteers escorts a client through to the back. And then after they're back there, and after they start close to coming out to the front area, then we take another one in. So we've got 2 people shopping, and we provide hand sanitizer and allow them to select their own items. Because the reports are that surface contact is not a big thing. So we decided that we could try it that way, and 99% of people are extremely cooperative. There's always the one. But it seems to be working fine. We never like the pack a bag and throw it at people, because we've had people bring back stuff that they've got from somewhere else and say, we can't use these, will you take them? And so on. So, and we've also heard reports in neighborhoods where people are just throwing stuff away because they won't use it. It wasn't, it was just handed to them. So we've always wanted to go to some kind of self-selection model.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Any other measures in terms of distributions around COVID-19? Are we having folks be able to have more selection and reducing waste? Kind of moving away from the prepackaged boxes and bags that folks are doing.
How can I distinguish between getting the boxes that you've already assembled and just getting the food drive stuff? I've ordered food drive stuff several times and ended up getting the boxes, the meal boxes that you've already assembled.
For sure. Yeah, currently we had a lot of Rayleigh's product that was that we had in our system, and that comes through us through Food Drive, so it's considered Food Drive. So we started to construct our own dry goods boxes to supplement the ones that we were getting pre-assembled in. So we wanted to make sure to never run out of those pre-assembled boxes. So we made backup Food Drive boxes in-house. So we considered that our dry goods in-house Food Drive. And so that's probably what they sent to you when you ordered. And so we do have our general food drive, which is just bulk, but we usually assume that the packaged food drive would probably be a little more useful for you guys just because it has actual staples in there, like things that you might be desiring. But if you would desire just the general food drive where it's just kind of, I think that's unsorted and just boxed randomly when it comes in, that's also a possibility. We could send that out as well. But I think we usually prioritize the pre-made boxes. So that's why it might be a bit of a confusion because we've been using food drive, the term food drive for both, because they're both part of a food drive program that we have. But that's why it just appears to be a pre-assembled box because we've been doing that in-house. Luckily, we asked the warehouse a while back to make those for us, and luckily they agreed that it'd be good to have a backup just in case. Does that make sense, Johanna?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the unassembled food drive.
Sure, yeah, you could always leave that in the notes if you're like, you can send me general food drive or just bulk food drive, you know. But usually we assume people would prefer the pre-made boxes of food drive. So yeah, either way will work for us.
Yeah.
Depending on what we have in stock, obviously.
I know I have two more questions.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess I just missed it. The food snacks, is there a separate menu to order those or?
There's not a separate menu. We send a list, but that list is just information so that you can order it off WMS. But if you would like to, I mean, you could always send that list back to us, or you could send those item numbers back to us or email us what you would prefer, and we would always work to get it onto your order. But since the info is all on there, we would prefer that it just, just whatever you would like, just order it through WMS.
Thank you. And then those boxes that they assembled, those are beautiful boxes and they're hardly touched. Can we return them to you?
Oh, the boxes, the cardboard boxes themselves?
Yeah.
That I'm not quite sure on. I believe you were taking them back. Do you remember, Nick, if we discussed with the warehouse what they prefer?
The larger boxes that, the like kind of like bin size, yeah, we could take that rest on the pallets, or we could take those back. Yes. So
we're talking about the food drive ones, though. I believe like the individual boxes that we pack in house.
Yeah, that we'd have to check with our facilities to see if they want those back.
They probably wouldn't be able to reuse them, but they might be able to recycle them. And just, I'm not sure food safety wise if once it's traveled, if they consider it usable. Probably not.
RJ.
Mm.
Hi, this is Ashley and Cecilia from Pajaro Valley Loaves and Fishes.
Hey guys.
We reuse the bean and rice boxes to pack our pack boxes for our clients. And I'm not sure the size that you guys were talking about for the boxes, but potentially we would love to take them if the size is right. We always want to reuse because recycling obviously isn't always.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. These are the food drive ones. So they're like the kind of individual squat ones. I'm not sure if you've seen that one. But we could always send you the dimensions and then maybe connect you with any agency that would be interested in just passing them along to you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll make note of that.
Okay. So if there's no other thoughts around farmers market style distribution and COVID-19 safety measures, maybe we could talk about increased reach. So any thoughts around, what folks are doing in terms of outreach and trying to reach underserved populations or communities that they haven't been serving, or just getting the word out for their distribution in general? Anything that folks have been doing in terms of outreach that they'd like to share? This is something we've kind of been brainstorming internally with our program sites. But like one thing that folks did that our programs team did is they put flyers up in laundromats in the area in nearby distributions. Yeah, we've been trying to update our website with distribution times as well. Social media, going to different, we've talked about like going to different, churches and things like that. But yeah, and then flyering as well around the community. And then I'm trying to think what else there is, but yeah, I mean, we're thinking more about, trying to distribute outside of, regular working hours or business hours, but, that gets a little bit harder. We kind of trying to brainstorm how to make that sustainable for us, but just to reach more working people. But, just some thoughts that we wanted to share. So if anybody else has any ideas, feel free to share now. Otherwise, we can move on to data and the new monthly report.
Hi, this is Ashley again. One thing that we do is, I mean, we're open Monday through Friday, but we're only open until 3 and we're closed on the weekends. So if we can't accommodate someone, we pass information along about other pantries or foods, meals. We're located in Watsonville, so we refer to Salvation Army a lot and Martha's Kitchen. So I think it's really good that pantries work together to make sure that the clients are covered. And if another pantry has hours opposite of what we or other organizations have, I think it's really important to let clients know about other options as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. That's a great point. Yeah, we've been, updating our website for distribution. So you can always refer to the Second Harvest website. The Community Foundation also has a great one in terms of lists of distributions. Or you can always call and email us if you have any questions around, other distributions that are in your area that you prefer participants to. Yeah, that's a great idea. All right. All right. RJ, do you wanna mind if I hand off the facilitation to you? Maybe we could facilitate around data and reporting.
Sure, absolutely. I also wanted to acknowledge some of the questions in the chat. Barb, you asked about how big the bins are. I believe we were talking about the cardboard bins before. Those are the pallet ones, so they're pretty tall. They're probably like the 4 or the 5x5 bins. I'm not sure. Also, Lisa, you asked if it helps when we repost the Facebook and Instagram posts. Is that post that you make online, and then our programs team has been reposting those? Oh, cool. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be one of our team's members, the one that does that. So I'll make sure to let her know that that's good and that she should be encouraged to continue to do so. Yeah, the big bins. Let's see. List of pantries. Yeah, so Danielle, I believe Nick just covered that. We do have a list of pantries on our website. And he's pulling, or we can, but also the Community Foundation does have a really lovely monthly calendar that has a lot of our agencies on there. So hopefully that can help as well. But he's pulling, right now Nick is pulling up the list. So this will have all all the ones that we're currently advertising distribution site-wise. We do leave off quite a few of them if they're closed distributions, whether it's only to their shelter or to their clientele, so we don't advertise those. So if your name is not listed on here, then first, we didn't want to step on any toes, or we assume that maybe you wouldn't want a large influx, because there's also growing the pantries, and we didn't want to advertise too much if you guys felt like insecure about growing your pantry or whatnot. So if you happen to not see your distribution on here, feel free to let us know, and we'll definitely add it on there. It's very simple, but we just want to be considerate in that way as well. So pantries and updates. Fantastic. Okay, cool. Yes, and this is the Community Foundation, and monthly they come out with their yeah, they're very quick to update it, but as you can see, it has a ton of our agencies on there, and some of them, and the ones that are agencies will probably be onboarded as agencies by the end of the year, most likely. So yes, this is a lot of second harvest activity on here. Cool, but yeah, we can go back to the new monthly reporting. I know the monthly reporting has been, I'm sure it's been a bit of a stressor because recently we asked about adding zip code information to it. Hopefully the data collection tool can help with collecting that data, and hopefully the report is also easy to fill out and return the fillable PDF. Here's the data collection tool that Nick's pulling up just to help you guys with collecting data. We've also asked, and we're also trying to digitize this so that you could even do it on your phone, like while you're doing it, any way that can really streamline your process. We've been trying to brainstorm and figure out ways maybe to bring on new technology that'll make it really simple or whatnot. So if you guys ever have feedback about that or would like to change anything, like definitely feel free to let us know, especially if you guys have your own way of collecting data, like we already use this program and this is how it works for us. That would be great to know, just because we might want to spread that to other pantries or other agencies just to bolster how they're collecting data. Because we're post-COVID, we're changing everything all the time, trying to optimize, trying to make sure it works. And trying to get as much feedback from you guys as well. So make sure we're not stepping on any toes or going in the wrong direction. But right now that's our major push. And we currently don't have a way to aggregate this zip code information. So it's a slow rollout. It's not like a huge push to get all of it in immediately, but we would ask that you guys do, as much as you can. But on our end, we're still working with our data analyst and some data construction tech people to do a new monthly report and a new database system for us so we can aggregate all this information. So on our end, we're working really hard to make it work as well. So that's also why we're taking a bit of a slower process on, onboarding that information. Mm-hmm. But definitely feel free to let us know. Just if don't feel like you're ever complaining or anything, we definitely would just love feedback on, how you guys feel about what's going on. So if you guys have any questions or feedback about that?
I'm probably the slowest one to get my numbers in. I apologize.
You're fine, Joanna. It's been, all of us have been struggling through the pandemic, honestly. So yeah, I mean, we definitely have a lot of empathy for everyone as we all continue to maneuver.
I can't blame the pandemic. I get there, I do the numbers, and then I forget to send them to you.
That's fair too.
Clarify something?
Definitely.
This is Sally Sutter with St. Philip's, and
Hey,
I
Sally.
think there's a category for other. Is that correct? And is it that if somebody is unhoused or doesn't want to reveal their zip code, or how do we use that category?
And I believe that's on the bottom of the other zip codes. Is that what you mean? Like the numbered zip codes, there's an other. That's I believe that's just an empty slot for you to enter your any other zip code. So like if you want to double it up, it'd be like, oh, we had a ton from this zip code. I'll just put that in the other category so we can continue that. Or there's a different zip code that I need that isn't listed here, and so I'll put that in there. But so that's just a general fill-in. I don't feel obligated to put something there. That's just an extra slot for you to fill in if it doesn't match any of the other zip codes, basically. Mm-hmm.
But also, how would you recommend that we fill in a category? I mean, how do we report if somebody doesn't have a definite location or zip code?
I believe, what was, Nick, do you remember if we had a system for that? I believe it would just be your location. Like you would assume that they're within your zip code, so you can just put that down. But yeah, or best guess, or you could leave them off, whatever works best for you. We're still playing it by ear.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sally. It's a good question, though.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to, create any barriers. So,
for sure.
Want to share their zip code information, then like RJ was saying, you could just put, your zip code, and that's totally fine.
Definitely.
Can I share that something that I do, which makes it so much easier?
Yes, please.
What I do is that for our food pantry particularly, is that I have the case manager, so whoever's going to be providing the food for that particular family, fill out all the demographic information. They submit the request when the family picks up the food. So that then everything, I use a Google form so that everything's transferred into an Excel spreadsheet. So when I do the report, everything just tallies up automatically. And it takes me like 5 minutes to complete everything and to complete the form that for the food bank, and that's it. It makes it so much easier. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Adriana. That's awesome.
So am I understanding that a lot of the food banks sort of handle each client sort of individually? Because I don't have the resources to do that. We're set up to just make the bags and hand them out, and we count the bags at the end of the day. We did 81 bags yesterday, plus people that just got vegetables and took nothing else. So
For sure, it depends on your structure, who your organization is. I mean, Adriana has more maybe tech support or like more individualized support for her clients, so that might be a little bit easier. But in your case, obviously, it's a little different because you don't have clients that are coming to you, and it's a much bigger scale. So definitely, it's not going to be the same intake process. But it is good to know how smaller agencies can maneuver through that as well versus the bigger ones.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Nice. Well, yeah, if you guys don't have any other troubleshooting or best practices about that, feel free, if you do have anything just throughout the months, reach out to us. We're also going to be rolling out the new demographics report. We emailed out about it recently. If you didn't receive an email about it, that's because you already gave us that information in April. We had an initial agency push for demographics in April of this year, and then we're filling in the rest starting now until October. So if we did reach out to you, that's because we haven't already received your data. And again, that's just the 1 month snapshot of the demographics. And so hopefully, and we added a couple new questions to it about concern so that we can integrate with our CalFresh department. We're really trying to push for agencies to have more CalFresh information, more support. If you ever need any brochures, pamphlets, support from the CalFresh team during a distribution, feel free to reach out to us because we're really trying really hard to push with that. And so that's 2 new questions on the demographics report is, do you currently have CalFresh? Are you interested in CalFresh? And so that'll be on the client survey as well as the report, the aggregated report that you turn in by October 31st. So yeah, this is exciting new integration. We're really hoping to get people more knowledge out into the community about CalFresh because they're just such a great support system for our whole county. So yeah, but if you guys have any issues with that or questions, go for it.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that with CalFresh, I just heard that they increase the benefits by 25%. So yeah, you always say that CalFresh benefits, SNAP benefits, or whatever you want to call it, is our first line defense against hunger, because it gives people a little bit more agency in terms of when and what they buy. And then our distributions are there, as a additional kind of safety net for food insecurity and folks facing hunger in our county. So we definitely really want to try and bolster and advocate for CalFresh as much as we can. So this is again part of that effort, as I was saying. So yeah.
For sure. And let us know, do you guys have any questions about the demographics report or concerns, anything?
I'm sorry, I'm hopping all the time here.
You're fine, Jenna. What's up?
So I did want to say that we have partnered with a school, we got a hold of the principal and she put out, do people need food? And so we do take food bags over to the school. We take about 20-25 bags, once to twice a week. Galt, we have Galt, so we have all the beach flat people. And that's been wonderful.
That's awesome, for sure. And if you ever want, if stuff like that happens and you feel like that might be too much activity for you or too much pressure for your agency, you could always reach out to us and maybe we could set up, because I know the programs department has sites at different areas at different times in that area. So they could always start a new distribution in the area, or they're always looking for sites of need. So if there's like a site or area that's being underserved, then definitely feel free to reach out or let us know, or just to let us know like what activity you're doing. I mean, we can just praise you for helping more people, and that's awesome, definitely. But we're also here to support you if you feel like maybe they could get product from us directly, or we could set up another distribution. You know, just whatever works best for the community.
At the moment, I have a volunteer. So.
Good, glad to hear it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to, maybe we could talk about, we could put in the chat or share now if anybody has you're thinking about scheduling the next quarterly agency meeting in November or December. Obviously in November it'd be before the holiday Thanksgiving week. December would be definitely before, probably early December. But if you have any preferences, let us know either on you or put in the chat what you have preference for, and then we can kind of schedule things out that way. Yeah.
Because we also will be having the virtual nutrition summit most likely in October. So yeah, whatever you guys would prefer, whether having one right after November or waiting a bit for December, yeah, whatever works. But it's going to be a busy time. Obviously, it's the holidays, so whatever works for you guys. Feel free to give us some feedback.
Did you guys already send out the information for the October?
We haven't yet, no.
Okay.
We're still maneuvering whether it'll be physical or virtual, definitely leaning towards virtual. So we're going to have to kind of reevaluate how that's going to play out.
Okay, perfect.
But we will definitely reach out, yeah.
No, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it in my.
That's there for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other final thoughts or questions? Anything that anybody wants to share before we close out? All right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all for taking the time. And it's always great to connect and share what's going on and hear, from you all. So I appreciate that. And as always, as we said, feel free to email us, call us, or put some messages in WMS notes, whatever works for you, works for us. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, if you guys are good, we could always adjourn a little early, but feel free to ask any questions or stick around if you need, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
And just so you know, Nick, I saved the chat from this too, just so we can reference that later.
Oh, nice. Good call. Do you guys, Danielle and Adrian, do either of you have any questions for us or? Oh yeah, so Danielle, I did see your call. Yeah, I guess we'll just close unless Adrian has a question, and then I could give you a call, Danielle. Okay, yeah, maybe we'll just close it off. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.